Welcome back to the Mrs. IE427 channel, everybody. We are a little bit overdue for a shop update, and so I wanted to take a few minutes and catch everyone up on what's been going on here at the shop as far as the shop and the construction and the office build out and everything else. So we'll start back here. Although the coop looks as though it's in the same space it has been, it has actually moved in and out of this space a couple of times in the last few weeks. That was to enable us to get some work done on the actual start of our mezzanine project. So if you remember, we cantilevered out these 2x6s past the edge of the office. And so we wanted to get as much storage space on top of the office as we actually could. But what we've done now is we've actually put a beam across with posts on either side, and we're going to continue the deck up there for another 10 feet this way. So the mezzanine is actually going to end right about here next to the door. It's going to come across here. What we're going to do is we're going to actually push the post on this side out this way a little bit so that we can still park a car in here, but the mezzanine itself is going to basically come to that 8-foot spot out from the wall this way. What that's going to allow us to do is it's finally going to allow us to get all of the parts and supplies that we have for the Factory 5 cars and everything else over here and put it all up there. And basically give me back my construction shop so that I can better access the tools that we use in our construction business every day. So as that is ongoing, we'll keep you updated on what's going on with that. Now inside the shop, what we have done is we've completed the actual roll-up door. So the door does open and close right now. We're in the middle of doing a project in here, but the door actually does go up and down. We've got the torsion spring up there. It works just perfectly. We are waiting for our trip to Texas so we can pick up a garage door opener, and I'll come back to that in a minute. But I already have the sprocket mounted for the jack shaft so that we can side mount a garage door opener just like we did in the previous shop. Now, for all of you out there that are so concerned or very concerned that we haven't painted the walls in here and everything in here is looking kind of bland, this is what our solution was and is long term in order to get these walls covered. We're actually using excess construction material that we had left over from a couple of different jobs, and we're going to cover these walls in vinyl siding. Now, you're probably asking yourself why we would use an exterior covering for walls that are inside. And I'll tell you just from experience that the vinyl siding, because it doesn't go up on the wall flat, it's angled. Every piece that goes up there is a little bit different and a little bit angular. It actually helps inside the shop for sound. So if you remember in the other shop, I didn't have near the echo that I have in this shop. And that was primarily because of the surfaces that we had installed in the shop. Just on that one corner where the bathroom and the stair bump out was, it makes a tremendous difference in the amount of reflective sound that comes off the walls because the surfaces aren't flat. Now, I get into a whole thing about sound rooms and studios and home theaters and everything we do in those instances in order to build reflective and absorbing wall surfaces. Suffice it to say, the vinyl siding works really good for this. And it actually looks cool. So what we got planned is this split shake design that we have left over from one job is going to go on all of the west and east facing walls. So this wall, the wall on the other side of the door, the wall down there, and then the same thing on the office wall. So the outside office wall, I'm going to have the same wall treatment, and I have about 60 square feet of the tan material that we had left over when we finished the other shop. So I'm going to cover that wall right there and that material in here. It's not as big of a problem with sound out here because I don't film out here as much as I do inside the shop, but you could tell just by me walking through the door how the sound of my voice changes, and that is all due to the reflective surfaces that are in the actual shop, and the fact that everything in there is flat and it's a cold hard surface. We're going to change that by putting the vinyl on the walls and actually allowing the sound to disperse differently when it hits those walls, and it won't echo as much. So on the side walls, we actually have what's called a Dutch lap siding. And so that's going to be the tan material, and we're going to run that on both the south wall here, the north wall over there and right there, and then the outside of this wall where the coop is sitting right here. So that'll all get the siding as well. So by the time we're all done, it's going to look really nice, and you guys won't have to worry about the dull surface that we have of the OSB on the wall now and worrying about us having to paint it. Priorities. As the Texas car owner told me the other day, some people just don't understand priorities, and that's fine. I get it. You guys are out there. I'm here. It looks like I'm not doing anything, you know, between videos, but trust me, we are. The last thing that we have as far as the shop update is the office. And Mrs. IE427 has just been working her little tail off to get this room all ready, to this point anyway, so that we can get it painted. So she put on this really cool wall covering. It's actually a, what did she call this? A wall liner. And so in a lot of instances where folks have really beat up walls and they don't want to go through the expense of having the walls skim coated and textured and fixed or re-drywalled, this wall liner is really cool because it goes up with a heavy-duty wall paper adhesive, and as the material itself goes on and the adhesive dry, it shrinks together and it tightens the surface of the wall. So even if there are small imperfections in the wall, it kind of like gobbles those up and makes the wall appear to be flat. So really cool stuff. She had this left over again from a job. She wanted to use it in this room. This is her office. I told her she could do whatever she wanted. The only thing that I stipulated was that on this side of the office where my desk is going to go, I could get my in-wall speaker. So I'm going to have an in-wall speaker there and one behind the door over there. And I'm just going to be a happy camper. The last thing that she asked is that we use some type of beadboard on the lower portion of the wall, and I took care of that earlier this week. It really came out nice. Again, we had excess beadboard left from a project that we've been holding on to for years. This gave us a good opportunity to use that stuff up without throwing it away or putting it in the landfill, and I think it really came out nice. You guys saw earlier when we put the glass door in, how nice that came out. And I think this room is just going to be a really good addition to the shop itself, because now Mrs. IE427 is going to have a place to do all of her paperwork and everything else. With all that had happened through the move, she kind of lost her office space. And so we still need an office. She still needs a place to do paperwork, and this is going to give her that. So all the electric is in, so we put quad outlets everywhere, 2 behind each desk over on this wall, 2 behind the desk on this wall, 1 over here. We've got a clock receptacle over here that will take care of the big screen TV that's going to be hanging on the wall, and we've got a single light overhead. This was not Mrs. IE427's first choice, but it was something that we had, and so therefore it's what we're going with right now. The box up there on the far wall, I got a question about this on Facebook. That was the location of the previous junction box that was in this area for plugs on the wall that go past the wall over here. And so rather than eliminating it or relocating it, we just incorporate it in the room. It'll get a white cover when all is said and done. It'll disappear into the background. Nobody will know it's there. And so it was just easier to leave it than to relocate it or get rid of it and move it. So that's where we're at with that. The last thing is, I think I've got all the trim that I need in order to finish both the outside walls of the shop here and the inside. We're using this product from a company called Miratech. And what this is I know you're all probably familiar with a MDF product, which is a medium density fiberboard. This is an exterior grade, high density fiberboard. So it's made with, rather than just pine or spruce or Douglas fir wood pulp and resin, this is made with redwood and cedar sawdust pulp, and then it's an exterior grade resin. So this stuff is impervious to insects, it resists rot, and it has a lifetime guarantee. And it doesn't cost much more than your standard MDF. Now, we get this through our supplier. Obviously, we're a contractor, we get a little bit better rate for it. But for 160 feet of this stuff, so 10 sticks at 16 feet, I think I paid $250. That's a deal. And what we're using it for is we're using it for all the corner boards. So in all these areas where we're doing an outside corner with the siding, I am not using actual vinyl on the corners. I'm using that product there. Now, it becomes a economic issue. I could go back and I could order the vinyl, but because I'm buying vinyl from a vinyl supplier, everything I buy has to be in full boxes. I can't buy one piece and then another piece or just a couple of pieces. I have to buy a full box. So that means if I need a corner and I only need, let's say, 4 of them, they come in a box of 10. So I have to buy a box of 10. And it just doesn't make good economic sense to do that. So we have plenty of the J channel that the siding slides into. So what we're doing is we're going to put the Miratec on the corners to make corner boards, and then we're also going to use the Miratec on the bottom as a base molding. So you can see right here, we've got that 1x4 Miratec on the bottom of the siding right there. And what that does is it gives us a nice place for the J channel to sit on. And long term, it gives us an easy way to keep the shop clean, meaning you can run a broom right across the edge, or even a vacuum for that matter, and you don't have to worry about stuff getting in or behind a piece of vinyl siding like you would if you were using like standard starter strip with the siding. Since we're doing this inside of a dwelling or inside a shop rather than on the outside of a building, it just makes sense that we're going to want to keep everything clean. And so we did it the same way over at the other shop. We're doing it here too. So I think that's going to kind of get you guys all caught up on everything here at the shop. I do have to pull off some of the packing protector that they ship the doors with, but I just haven't had time for that. I've pulled some of it off as it started to peel off on its own, but I'll pull that off here probably in the next couple of weeks. I'm not too concerned about it. It's not staining the door or anything, so I'm not too worried about it. It'd be different if the door was subject to sun and all that kind of stuff, but it's not, so it's going to be just fine. The last thing that I wanted to talk about was the garage door opener and why we're going to be purchasing one while we're out of state. The state of California, in its infinite wisdom, has decided that you cannot buy a good old-fashioned chain drive garage door opener unless it has a battery backup. And the Chamberlain and LiftMaster series of garage door openers, when the battery gets down to a certain point, meaning it won't charge off of the 120 volt cord that's plugged into the ceiling anymore, it basically renders the operator, the door opener, useless. You can't use it. You have to replace the battery. You can't just leave it with a dead battery. So I just don't want any part of that. So when we go on our trip to Texas to deliver that car, I've got 4 states I can buy one in. I can either buy one in Arizona, I can buy one in New Mexico, and buy one in Texas. We're actually going to be going through Oklahoma as well, so I can buy one in any of those 4 states, and I don't have to get one with a battery backup. So there you go. I'm not too concerned right now. The door is easy enough to open and close. It is nice having it open when I'm not working over the top of it like I am right now trying to put siding up, because it makes this whole area feel bigger. So I get the advantage of having the shop feel like it's 2,000 square feet, which it really is. But I still can work in the 500 square feet that I have set aside for the cars, although the cars have taken over most of the rest of the shop too. If you guys are enjoying the content here and you like this kind of stuff, be sure to subscribe to the Mrs. IE427 channel. And as always, if you're looking for the car content, it's over on the main channel. That's IE427 Garage. So please do the like, the share, the subscribe, all that kind of stuff. We'll see you next time. Have a great day.